Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Comics Evolve, where we discuss all things around comics media culture with your hosts, Andy, Jarian, and Alex.
Welcome to Comics Evolve. Myself, Andy Stead.
And I'm Jarian Gibson.
And I'm Alex Stroud.
And this is our special episode on the Marvels. We're going to do a quick preview before we all go and see it this weekend, and it's released to the masses. So let's dive straight in. We seem like we've been waiting for this movie forever. This has been a long time coming. Obviously, it's delayed for multiple reasons because of COVID set it back originally, and then changes in the order that they were releasing the movies in, that set it back again. Then obviously the actors and the writers' strike set it back again. It just seems like we've been waiting for a long time for this movie, doesn't it, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I know that there's been a lot of delays on a lot of other projects and everything, So, I mean, I don't think that this is the only thing that, we've been waiting a long time for. But it does, like, now that you say that, now that I think back, it seems like it's been, 2 years or something that we've, been waiting on this. I know it's probably not been 2 years, but I feel like this was probably, originally earlier this year, wasn't it?
January. It was supposed to be in place of Quantumania.
Yeah. So, I mean, now here we are in November, and it comes out, and it's like, wow, that's a long time, 11 months back,
Yeah, like Jarian said, it was supposed to be in place of Quantumania. They'd switched dates, didn't they? So, I mean, I don't know whether this movie's changed, whether they've changed the movie since they did swap over these dates. I'm guessing that Quantumania was probably more finished, which is why they moved that one forward, and then this one wasn't finished. So whether it's changed or it just wasn't finished, who really knows? But I'm glad we're finally getting it, and the trailers have looked great. And I was thinking about this the other day, and I know Jarian's going to mention the Legends episodes, but I did catch all of those. But this is bringing together quite a lot of projects, isn't it? Really, I mean, you think. It's the sequel to Captain Marvel. It's bringing WandaVision back into play. It's bringing Secret Invasion into play. It's bringing the Marvels back into play. Obviously, it's got the sort of overarching story we've seen through some of the trailers that there's kind of bits of Thanos saying that his work's going to be completed. So we're looking at, a sequel to Endgame in a way as well. So we've got sort of maybe half a dozen projects. That
don't forget Miss Marvel as well.
Yeah, Miss Marvel, yeah. We've got sort of half a dozen projects that this movie is kind of, following on from.
Yeah, I mean, there's even a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy thrown in there too. I mean, with the jump points that we see, it looks like Monica's touching a jump point, and then we've got this person that looks like another person, she's got the hammer, like Ronin, so she's Kree, so kind of a similar little pull there to Guardians as well. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure, too, how much Secret Invasion will play in this. It doesn't seem much from the previews. We could be surprised, though, but I would be shocked if we don't get... I wouldn't be shocked if they totally just ignore Secret Invasion.
I mean, just the pure fact that Nick Fury's in it, and I'm sure we're going to see some Skrulls, there is a little follow-on from that.
Yeah, I mean, I think in one of the earliest trailers for this movie, we did see Skrulls, up there walking around on the Sword space station, so it's one of those things, they'll probably be there, they'll just be in the background,
I thought I saw the Emperor as well in one of the previews, possibly.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. One thing I want to see too is where does this movie go, from here, right? What is it going to continue on the whole multiverse piece of things? There's been some hints with the latest trailer drop. Are we finally going to hear the word incursion, actually said? Is there going to be any continuing setup for Miss Marvel and possibly some Young Avengers? I doubt this would happen, but I would love to see Teddy in human form in some kind of tease with Kamala, to say this is my new friend Teddy, and then leave it at that and kind of leave it there, because we know, he's a Skrull Kree hybrid. He for Miss Marvel's adventures or Monica or Carol's adventures, we don't know where she's been. supposedly she's relationship with this prince now. They could possibly throw him in, but hopefully we, if it's not him, which I think would be a good way to bring him in, since we've had all the Skrull stuff, we've got more Kree stuff. I think it's time that we see Hulkling / Teddy. But if not, hopefully they bring in Young Avengers, set up another tie, whether it's Kate Bishop or Cassie Lang, since those are the two other big established ones right now. Yeah, we know that Isaiah's out there, but he's not really set up yet. Billy and Tommy are kind of off the chessboard right now after Multiverse of Madness. Who knows what Agatha and other projects will bring of them. So, and we haven't, maybe even another option could be I'm going blank now. The Kang variant.
Iron
Lad. Yes, thank you. I went blank there. And maybe Iron Lad shows up and, helps him out too, because, he was on the team as well. So it'd be interesting to see, if we do get any continuation of Miss Marvel and Young Avengers and that kind of stuff, because it seems like that's an undertone across the MCU right now, but there's really been no connective pieces yet.
You mentioned incursions there, and it kind of makes me feel like watching like the trailers for this, like that little, like, it looks like they're pressing into a jump point, like they have Monica out there and she's like poking at it, but then you see the villain of this movie has both the bangles at one point, and it looks like she's also in front of a jump point again, but you see like it's like opened up to something else. I'm almost like curious. I mean, Miss Marvel kind of played on this, but it told us that the bangles could be used to bring the Jinns like world here. So that's sort of like so that's sort of like an incursion, basically it would like come here and eat this world and everything like that and kind of take it over. But I'm almost wondering if this is sort of like that, like they basically used, like, Miss Marvel kind of laid the foundation for that, and they're just going to take the bangles, and open up like almost an incursion in this movie. It would be kind of cool if they did do that.
I also wonder too that, we know that Kamala Khan's a mutant now, so the bangles just activated her powers, but I wonder, after they defeat Dar-Benn, who's the villain of this film, if she's going to have both bangles, or both bangles get destroyed, or what happens with that bangle situation too.
Yeah, I mean, on the bangles, we see in Miss Marvel that they've got the ability to open sort of portals through space and time as well. Kamala travels back to Pakistan in the partition. So she travels through space and time with those bangles. So if the villain's going to use both bangles, maybe they it powers them up, and it not only can it open up different places in space and time, but like across dimensions as well, open up spaces in across those realms. So just looking at the characters within this, obviously we've got the three main ones. I'm really interested to see more of Monica. Again, watched the Legends episode again and saw the moment where she gets undusted, and it's just such a great moment. And we haven't seen her. She hasn't seen Carol since she was a child.
Yep, Captain Trouble.
Yeah, this is it exactly. And it'll be interesting to see what her life's been like since the end of WandaVision.
I also wondered too if we're going to find out any more about her engineering or space engineer friend as well, who kind of was a tease in WandaVision, but ended up being just a military person. Could that have been a Skrull or somebody else? And also what she's been doing since WandaVision as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, another thing I want to throw out there too. I love some of the costumes in this movie. Like, does anybody have they said whether or not she's going to be taking the name Photon for Monica?
I don't think they have, other than one of the toy teases that had, I think, Photon on it, if I remember correctly. But there's been no word on if she actually is called any of those names in this movie.
That white and black costume she wears is awesome. Like, I love that costume. And Carol Danvers' costume looks really, really good too. I was like, I don't know why. Like, I mean, it's just a Captain Marvel costume. It looks like, the symbols blown up and everything. But man, I really like that costume too. But yeah, that Photon costume. Let's say she's called Photon. It is amazing. Love that.
Speaking of Monica, I also too that latest tease. Or trailer teases, the last two, that one, they have the X that stayed there about in the whole next thing that stayed there for a while. Then you see in this last one where she's in that room and someone's walking by in a similar black and white costume that you see X on the monitor there as well if you pause it and zoom in. So I almost wonder if she ends up in another universe at the end of this because of that, of the whole her line saying, you know, the universe, things are coming through, that kind of stuff. I almost wonder if she ends up in a universe where Maria is alive and Maria is Captain Marvel as binary. Because binary in the comics was also a mutant and tied to the X-Men as well. So I hope we see that mother-daughter reunion. That's going to be like kind of just a cherry on top if that happens in this film.
Wouldn't it be crazy, since we're going to be getting Deadpool next year, if it was like the Foxverse and it turns out like she's like a mutant in the Foxverse or something like that? That would be just, you know, amazing.
Well, there's also been a rumor too about an X-Men person showing up that we've seen before. And there's also been rumors that there's an actor that they had in one of the X-Men films that was kind of wasted that they're bringing back. So one thing here, I've read that if you look in the actual Marvel press kit for this film, it says we'll feature things from X2, X-Men United, and X-Men Days of Future Past. So it makes you wonder who's going to show up from those two films. And I don't know. It might be the same person we thought was in WandaVision might end up being in this film as well at some point in that universe.
It's just like our crazy theories in our brains just go wild for who could potentially be in it. It's one of those situations again, is in like before we got into Multiverse of Madness, where it was like, who's going to turn up? And we was just like, everybody was going to turn up.
Well, it's funny though, because it's like we've only really seen like the 838 universe and then the other universes that like spun through real quick in Multiverse of Madness. I mean, one of those was like the paint universe, so I don't think it's going to be that one, you know, where it's just like paint going everywhere. But like I feel like it's either going to be like something like the Foxverse or it's going to be something like the 838. Like I feel like those are probably two likely choices, since Foxverse might be in Deadpool and we just had the 838, but who knows, you know?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a new universe with some of the Foxverse characters.
That would be cool too.
Somebody, I saw something the other day, it might have even been one of you guys that said it, but the 838 universe seems to be a universe that's got all the missing pieces from Marvel in it. So it's got the Fantastic Four, it's got the X-Men, and it's got the
Inhumans
in it, you know, because obviously it adds Reed and Charles and Black Bolt. So all the bits that are missing from the actual 616 universe are in the 838 universe. So I thought that was just quite an interesting thought process there. But and just on the last character that we haven't really spoken about too much is Kamala. I think it'd be great to see her back again. You know, I think she was obviously a massive success. I think the show itself, you know, Miss Marvel was a big surprise for a lot of people. You know, it surprised me. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did, but I think she absolutely nailed that role. Her enthusiasm and her just her skills as well, her acting skills and her likability, like really came across well. And I'm looking forward to seeing more Kamala. If anything, it's probably my sort of, apart from the obvious like big things, you know, that we talk about X-Men and incursions and stuff. That's probably like my favorite, the thing that I'm looking forward to seeing more of her.
Yeah, Kamala and the Khan family, definitely big on seeing them again. And I'm just, it's sad too, because that we were kind of robbed of the premiere with these three actresses, with, you know, Tiana Paris, with Iman Vellani, with almost the Carol Danvers, with Brie Larson, you know, for the red carpet, the dynamic of them three together, plus Nia DaCosta. Hopefully they are able, because I don't know if you guys know this, the strike is over today for the actors strike. So it is over. Tomorrow they're going to go to the board to review the tentative, you know, to approve the tentative agreement, but it's over. So hopefully we can get some kind of press tour now with these three plus Nia DaCosta to kind of get the film out there more.
I did see, just changing the subject drastically, I did see that the premiere event for Iron Claw was last night, and you had Zac Efron and the guy from The Bear, the you know, the other person that was in it, they were out. So I'm not quite sure whether that was a last minute thing or what happened there, but
it might have been the studio, what studio was under, because for example, the new Hunger Games movie, they aren't part of that union, but the actors were allowed to, under some kind of agreement, to still promote that film. So I'll have to check and see what studio that was, because there are studios out there that aren't part of that main union, but they can still do things if they're approved by that union for the actors. So
Gotcha. Just circling back to something that you were saying a minute there ago, Cameron. Cameron? Why did I say Cameron? Jarian. Where's this going to lead us? Where's this going to leave? They're using some wording in some of the trailers, be there for what comes next. I mean, take away the X, but just be there for what comes next. So they're obviously putting a lot of weight into this movie as a bit of a turning point, So like we said, we're going to see some incursions and we're going to see some other stuff, but I think this is really going to be a turning point, along with Loki, which I know you guys are going to be seeing soon in a few hours. I think this next sort of 24 hours is going to be a big turning point for the MCU.
Yeah, it almost seems like things will start rolling, for the multiverse saga. Maybe we'll probably see that big thing, because all the projects besides Quantumania and Loki have not really, in this phase so far, not really been the multiverse, the whole Kang is coming type thing. So I wonder, between the finale of Loki and how this movie ends, especially since they're teasing other universes probably, that maybe that's a branch timeline that she goes to that was clipped maybe, and it's out there kind of on its own, and we start seeing things colliding into there to see that other incursion, because other than Multiverse of Madness, we haven't heard that word incursion. So I'm expecting things to really pick up now that with these two films coming out, especially with the strike being over, people are back to work. From the chat here, they said about the strike ending. We'll talk more about this on our episode after this. The Dogpool character leak. They also said they're going to start shooting Deadpool 3 before Thanksgiving. So the train's on the tracks and it's rolling, and they're still looking to get Deadpool 3 out by summer of next year. So it seems like the whole multiverse thing is really starting to pick up now.
I think this movie is going to play a lot on the Miss Marvel show, a lot more than people realize. And I feel like, in watching it and thinking back to Miss Marvel, we saw the bangle was on a Kree arm when they found it.
Yep.
So there's probably going to be some history here that's going to be explored about that, as to why that was. Were these originally Kree objects that, basically the villain gets, and she's going to use them for what they originally intended for? Or, was that something that they just lost and somebody maybe purposely hid them or something? You never know. But they were discovered next to the Ten Rings temple, like in there, in the ruins. So I mean, there's so much that they can do with that, to be honest. And I'm really looking forward to seeing like what was the purpose of those things. I'm hoping they kind of explore that a little bit by the end of this film.
Yeah, I was going to say I'd like to see a little history piece on those.
Yeah.
A little bit like how they at the beginning of Shang-Chi,
Yes.
they kind of gave you a bit of a breakdown history of
The Ten Rings.
Well, no, Wenwu. Yeah. They kind of gave you a bit of a flyby tour of Wenwu's history. I kind of hope that they do the same with the Ten Rings and with the with the bangles. They give you a little bit of a flyby tour of where these bangles come from, because we've got their immediate past. The fact that there was Kamala's nan, great nan. But yeah, they're obviously a lot older than that. So. And are they going to tie back to that signal that the Ten Rings were, emitting? That's, is that going to come, into play at some point from Shang-Chi, from the end credit scene of Shang-Chi? Bear in mind that Carol was in that scene and she sort of had to shoot off very quickly. So is that going to be around about this same time?
Go ahead. I just thought about something. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You look like you was going to say something on that, so I thought I'd let you cut in. No, that's all I was going to say. Carol's Alex talked about the costumes. Carol's costume in that Shang-Chi end credit scene looks similar to the costume that she's wearing in this movie. So is this the timing around about that sort of time?
Yeah, my thought there was too is that we kind of see that whole call with Carol Danvers and Bruce Banner and Wong there. Are they kind of setting up the Illuminati possibly of this universe, maybe, or the lead team there with the three of them kind of being that? Could that signal be somewhere out in space, maybe on the Kree side? Because we know in the comics the Ten Rings are tied to the McLuhan's, that alien race. So I don't think they're going that route with this. Could it be, another Kang variant tie somewhere out there in space too as well? Could it, you're right. It'd be interesting to see where those rings tied to, but also too, not only that, but also where has Carol been on her adventure since Endgame as well? Because we haven't really seen her. And you hear them in the commercial call her the Annihilator. And if you look at one of the trailers real quick, it looks like she's in a part where she's actually in front of the actual, not the High Evolutionary, the
high intelligence or whatever.
Yes,
that
Supreme
AI
Intelligence.
thing.
Yeah, she's actually in front of like what looks like a robot type AI thing that could be the actual Supreme Intelligence as well. So does that tie into this also with that beacon? It'd be interesting to see how that ties together.
Just lastly on the characters, I'm interested to see Zoe Ashton's and her take on a villainous character. I've been trying to I have watched the trailers, but I've not been sort of rewatching them and trying to go over them too much. I don't want to sort of, overexpose myself too much. But she's a good actress, and I'm interested to see, how effective a villain can be in this movie against those three quite highly powered characters. We saw Carol take on Thanos, and I wouldn't say he pulled out a dirty move necessarily, did what he had to, but she took a few punches and didn't really blink. So it'd be interesting to see how this new villain holds up against Carol and Monica and Kamala. Looks like she's doing a good job in some of the trailers with those switching places powers. But yeah, so I'm thoroughly looking forward to this movie. Only short as well. It's only 97 minutes long. It's
1 hour and 45 minutes. And I have a quote here from Nia DaCosta too on the runtime. She said, "Great, I love that because I really wanted it to be under 2 hours. I always think about runtime actually when I go into a film, and I just feel like there's no need to. 1 hour and 45 minutes is pretty average for a movie. So we're all really excited, 1 hour and 45 minutes. It was really great. You do what's right for the movie." So it sounds like she gets down to business and there's no filler in this film. It's like basically ready, set, go, we're off.
So yeah, it's picked up some fairly good early reviews. I haven't read any of them really, but I've just sort of blanket looked at them, and as I always do, I don't really pay much attention, but it's it's interesting to see, and it seems like it's getting some good attention.
Yeah, there's the typical review bombers out there, and you can tell some of them they're telling on themselves in those reviews, but it seems like as longer the movie's out, it's getting better. As far as the review rise, I don't really take the reviews into consideration. I always go see it for myself. We know there is always the Brie Larson hate out there. So it's
the simple fact that it's got 3 female leads and a female villain
director
will attract a lot of most likely misogynistic comments and people towards it, and just downplaying it regardless of whether they really liked it or not, or whether they've seen it or not. But yeah, 100%. I'm certainly one of those people that I'd like to see it myself first before I form an opinion on something. But it's just interesting to see that there's been some good reviews. I saw one the other day from a source that usually is very openly bashing stuff, and they've actually come out and said, this was pretty good. So yeah, I'm thoroughly looking forward to it. I've got my tickets for Saturday, so yeah, can't wait. There was one last thing I wanted to bring up on this movie, and it's eluding me at this moment in time. But if anybody else has got anything they want to cover, then do that now.
Well, while you're thinking, I'm going tomorrow afternoon after the kids get out of school. This actually is the first Marvel film that my daughter wanted to go see. Was like, I'm in, let's go see it. When I asked her, because we watched Miss Marvel as a family, and that was one of the first Marvel series that we watched as a family, because usually it's me, my son, my wife. But my daughter was interested in Miss Marvel and Kamala Khan, and she saw that Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel's back in this film, and she's all ready to go. So we are going tomorrow once they get out of school.
Excellent. That sounds great. I remember what it was now. By all accounts, there is a mid-credit scene, but there's not a post-credit scene.
Yep, that's what I've seen. It seems like from what I've heard is that there's only the mid-credit scene, and that the other one is actually in the film. Right. It might be at the end of the film. It might be towards the end of the film, but the other one that was supposed to be the second one is in the film. So
I'll
know,
probably
yeah.
still end up staying anyway, just just in case. You never know.
Just to confirm that,
Yeah.
you know.
I know for a fact there isn't one I stayed. Yeah.
It's funny. I feel like Marvel fans are so trained now. Like, whenever a movie ends, I always lean back in my seat and just look around, and I'll see like 85-90% of everybody sits and stays till the last credit rolls, and then, you know, everybody stands up at the same time.
Do you know what? Even knowing it, well, not knowing, but seeing all the writing about the fact that there is no post credit scene, I'd still probably stay just so that people don't look at me and think, well, he's not a proper fan. He's not staying till the end, even though I know there's nothing there. I'm still going to stay just so they don't think that. Closing thoughts?
We do have a new synopsis, updated synopsis for the film. So, in Marvel Studios' The Marvels, Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, has reclaimed her identity from the tyrannical Kree and taken revenge on the Supreme Intelligence. But unintended consequences see Carol shouldering the burden of a destabilized universe. When her duties send her to an anonymous wormhole linked to a Kree revolutionary, I wonder if that wormhole too is from the Beacon. Because remember we saw her in that post-credit scene, and she said, "I have to go." I wonder if that's part of this wormhole. Her powers become entangled with that of Jersey City superfan Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel, and Carol's estranged niece, now Saber astronaut Captain Monica Rambeau. Together, this unlikely trio must team up and learn to work in concert to save the universe as the Marvels. So,
Nice. Yep, thoroughly looking forward to this.
Just one more thing. I was just listening to that, and it just made me think of something. Wouldn't it be crazy? So Carol's traveling through one of those jump points. Monica's touching a jump point. Kamala's just doing her thing with the bangle, and then you know, the villain takes the hammer, smacks the bangle, and it causes them all three to get intertangled, and Carol switches places, Monica switches places, you know, Miss Marvel switches places. That'd be kind of cool if they did that like early on, and just
you know what, that sounds very, very reasonable. That's exactly what's going to happen. And if I remember rightly, at the end of the Marvels,
Miss
Marvel, Kamala, he's kind of fiddling with her bracelet. And like you said, we've already seen Monica. We've seen in one of the trailers, Monica's going out to what looks like a jump point, and then when she comes back towards Fury and Saber, it's Kamala in the suit.
Yep.
So it makes sense. It makes sense that, you know, Carol may be traveling through whatever, you know, Zoe Ashton's character's created, and then that's when that all happens. Yeah.
And we know the jump points are kind of like wormholes too. I mean, they basically allow people to traverse space quicker. So, you know, I mean, it kind of makes sense, I think. You know,
it could also be the first time that Carol and Dar-Benn tie up in a fight, because we, like, in the end of the Marvel, she's laying in bed and it starts glowing. So it could be the first time they actually get into a fight tangle, and that's when they all get entangled too as well. You know, it could be another option there. Here from the chat, we have a question. I missed the first few minutes, so maybe you covered this, but any guesses we might get cameos from? So I had a couple theories. You know, mine was hoping that they would set up more Young Avengers and, you know, just say, here's Kamala's new friend Teddy, you know, and kind of set up Hulkling as now, because we already have Kate Bishop and Cassie Lang. They've teased Isaiah Bradley already. We know that Tommy and Billy are kind of off the board right now until we see what happens with Agatha. And going forward, and it could be Iron Lad too. It could be when they set up also, since they're doing the whole multiverse type thing from this film. But I'm hoping it's just they do Teddy. You know, we have the whole Kree scroll thing. Carol's been out there. She had, you know, the Prince there as well. So maybe they could tease Teddy. But it's most likely probably going to be someone more established like Kate or Cassie showing up. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Cassie, especially since we just had Quantumania and she kind of just came into her own with her powers. Before I talk about the other one, what are your guys' thoughts on the Young Avengers setup?
I mean, I feel like out of anybody in this movie that I'm definitely expecting Maria to probably at least be mentioned, maybe make an appearance if it's like 838 Maria or something like that. But I mean, for the Young Avengers, I mean, I would totally love to see a couple Young Avengers in this movie, like Cassie or whatever. I'm just not sure with the runtime if they're going to have enough time to really cram a lot of more characters in this movie. I feel like a lot of the cameos might be brief and pretty quickly. And I would hope that they wouldn't like maybe put like those characters in without really kind of getting to dive into them, because it seems like this is going to be like a full throttle, pretty quick movie. Like it's going to just be going pretty hard and fast. So I just would really like some more time, I guess, devoted to those characters if they do actually go that route for the Young Avengers.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we've got time to bring in a new character that we don't know anything about. Well, we might know about it, but the general audience won't know anything about. So yeah, I think it probably will be somebody that's already established if they do bring somebody in. But I think we're bound to see an X-Men. Surely they're not. Surely this isn't a joke. The X's and what comes next and all of this kind of stuff. I'm sure we're going to see some X-Men.
I feel like Hulkling is probably, if we do see a Young Avenger, is probably the one that we have like the highest probability of seeing. And, I would hope that they would like at least not just throw him in the background and something. Like I actually want to see him like be involved, because, like that in the comics, there's the Kree Skrull War, and that's kind of a thing. And so I would kind of like to see something kind of like that explored or at least mentioned or talked about in the MCU. Because it seems like, the Kree, they just don't really like Carol too much now. They're the ones that gave her the name the Annihilator, are they not?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, so, like they're also kind of afraid of her too, so.
I don't think we need much time to do anything Young Avengers. It could be Kamala getting back after this whole thing is kind of settled down towards the end. She could be in class and she could have a new classmate named Teddy, and then that's the end of it. And then, people, we would know who it is, and then because like not everyone knew the X-Men music when she was in the show, that she was making her a mutant, so they had to actually figure that out. But they could do that. As far as the X-Men thing, I definitely think that latest commercial that there is going to be a Monica and Maria reunion. I think that is Maria that we see walking by when Monica's sitting there in her face. But I also think that we're going to see someone else, because I said earlier there was that rumor that they're bringing back someone who they felt was wasted in the film. But then you also have the whole X-Men thing now, and they also going to be using the X2 X-Men United and the X-Men Days of Future Past themes from the official Marvel press kit for the film. My two wasted actors that I've seen in Marvel films, Topher Grace as Venom, he killed it as Venom. I don't think it's going to be him coming back as Venom. They could make him somebody else, maybe another X-Men character, but I doubt they would do it. The other one, who just got a new show that just came back? Kelsey Grammer. What was Kelsey Grammer in? X-Men United, and Days of Future Past.
Yeah, it's Beast.
So I wonder if we are going to get a Beast as well as a tease in this film, because I don't know, that's kind of a coincidence there.
I thought he was really good at Beast as well.
Yeah, I did too. That's what I'm saying. I thought he was wasted not to see him again, and I think that's the other one. I can't think of anyone else. And
in fairness, in the comics, he was a big player of investigating the incursions.
Yep.
So maybe he's investigating an incursion from the other side.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you mentioned this earlier too. It does kind of seem like in the trailer when they show Monica's like in that hospital room, it does kind of look like it's part of like the X Mansion, like we saw in X2 and stuff. Yeah, but
and there's an X there.
But I mean, even the walls and everything, it looks like it's in the basement of the X Mansion, So, I mean, if say Monica was being helped by the X-Men, I would definitely think that Beast would probably be a part of that and probably like trying to figure out what's going on and everything. I mean, he's one of their smartest people, So
I wouldn't be surprised if she's in the same room that Logan was in, or even Jean was in when they're in down there in the depths of the mansion. If they're in the same exact room.
And that's what I thought about, was that scene where they're like looking at Logan and everything, and then Jean Grey and all them walk out and they're like talking about how his body, has this metal inside, like almost like kind of like a moment kind of like that I could see sort of playing out, where like they're kind of figuring out who, Monica is and, all that kind of stuff. So who knows?
The other question here, maybe Gaia, she's a high power female and knew Monica in childhood, and Fury might bring her to save her. That is a good thinking right there. My only comment about that is that we saw Gaia going off with Sonya Falsworth. And it almost sounds like they're going the whole MI13 route or another team route with her, and she was going that way. It seemed like the connection between Fury and Gaia was severed at the end of Secret Invasion, and now Gaia is more on with Sonya Falsworth, who knows that, yes, she's using her, but she knows she's using her, and they have a mutual understanding, unlike Fury and Gaia with Talos.
Falsworth needs to take Gaia, and when mutants kind of become more known, they need to form the Excalibur team.
Yes,
that would be
that's
so
what I was
awesome.
thinking. Yeah. The name. Yep.
Yep, nice. Righto, should we close it out there, guys?
Yep. If you haven't watched them yet, on Disney Plus, you have the Legends episodes, 3 of them: Carol Danvers, Kamala Khan, Monica Rambeau. Quick and easy to watch. Go do it before you see the movie.
Yep, well worth a watch to catch up on where those 3 have been. Great stuff. Enjoy the movie, guys, and I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, we'll probably be doing our Loki finale and the Marvels review on Monday, right? Just to let you guys know, no Sunday stream this week.
Yep, no problem. All right, nice job. Take care.
See you guys.